So I want to introduce a new sleeve system, different than anything you've seen before. It's called the ECLIPSE. The ECLIPSE is a two-sleeve system. They're both independent suspension sleeves. And you're looking at it and they're really similar, but one's short and one's long. They're similar, but they're not the same. And this is why they're not the same. The long suspension sleeve has raw silicone only on the inside. The short suspension sleeve has raw silicone on the outside and the inside. The reason why is the short sleeve goes on first on the residual limb, or on the socket I should say, and then the outer sleeve goes on top of the inner sleeve and gets an airtight raw silicone to raw silicone. But when they're together, when they're working together, they slide because these materials, it's like they're wet, they're slippery, it's like they're oiled. They slide really easy. I put raw silicone on it and it doesn't slide. Okay? So its idea is you have these two surfaces that move and slide, making it very easy for the patient to flex his knee. It doesn't allow for drag on the skin and on the knee and give you superb suspension. Now there's more issues that this allows. If you happen to pinch it and make a hole, which is the killer of all suspension sleeves, you simply rotate the holes so they're not in line with each other, and you now have a seal. The short sleeve should go above the trim line of the socket, and it's the trim line that's always the cause of the holes. And so all you do is rotate it and seal the hole. So it's designed to be used individually and together. To get optimum suspension, you use them together. To fast, want to put it on easy, I don't want the extra heat or length, you put on the short one and roll down the long one and get it out of your way. So in the middle of the night, when you got to go to the bathroom, just slap the short one on real quick, you're off you go. Okay, we have the suspension sleeve 1 on right now. And suspension sleeve 1, notice the glossy inch and a half down at the distal end. That is our airtight seal. Okay? We want to have all of that surface area on the socket all the way around to make sure we have a good seal. Now, sleeve number 2 has the glossy on the inside of that seal. So we want glossy on top of glossy, and then we have a tight, airtight seal. So now we put on sleeve number 2. When you have the two sleeves on top of each other, you have an airtight seal between the socket, the first sleeve, and the second sleeve. One on top of the other. So you need the glossy on top of glossy to get that airtight seal. Now there's another real key factor that this plays into. Is you would think about two sleeves on top of the kneecap. How much pressure is that? So I want you to look at his kneecap real quick, if you can roll down the sock. Notice the scar line going right down the center of his kneecap. In his traumatic injury, we had patella damage. So the underside of his patella is pretty worn out. So high tension sleeves on the patella is painful. And this is what you need. What makes it painful is when it sticks and it pulls against the patella. If the patella is able to slide and float in the leg, it's less painful.
To apply the sleeve, the best way I've found is to roll it down. And then the next one, just pull it down over that roll. And then you can slide the leg on. Grab that inner sleeve, pull it up, and there I've got my short sleeve ready to go. To burp the air out, roll slowly. Voila.
Notice that he has the shorter sleeve on right now. and the long sleeve is rolled down. Now, he can lift his leg and have suspension. And he can get all the suspension he needs to get a quick exit, get to the restroom, whatever, walk around the house, no problem. But for a good suspension, you need to roll up the other one. Now I want you to notice this has a feature, and that is when you roll it, you can work out all the remaining air. You can go all those edges and just totally bring up the air very carefully and have a really nice tight seal. That raw silicone is there for when you're sweaty, when you do an extra exertion and you need a little bit of seal on the skin itself. But notice that there's a coating above that area. And that coating above the area keeps you from having blisters where the sleeve ends. So this is for a high activity type suspension sleeve. It also works beautifully for low activity. And it's up to the client to wear it how they like it. Now, again, I'm going to repeat, if you get a hole on the trim, all you have to do is roll one away from the other and just move it away from the hole, and it'll seal one from the other. These sleeves are designed to be able to rotate and keep rotating it, because clients classically get the holes in the same place every time, whether it's kneeling down, hitting a coffee table, whatever it might be. They have a consistent area of destroying sleeves. So simply roll it and change where the holes are. Now notice that the inner sleeve is an inch or two above the trim line. And that's important because then it will still work individually. But we don't need double all the way to the top. Notice how it smooths out the leg, how it just has a nice smooth contour. There's another feature, and that is when you have long pants on, it doesn't grip on the pants.
My hobby is working on old BMWs. Generally, when you're laying on the ground underneath the car and you roll, your knee will swing back and forth, and you'll put a hole right here on the edges. Now with this sleeve, what that allows me to do is I just roll it down, and rotate. Now, I no longer have a leak path for the air to get in the socket. And if you're an amputee and you're listening to this video, you know how much trouble air pockets can be, especially when you're just trying to get normal things done and your leg's not responding to you the way you need it to.
The more difficult parts of a suspension sleeve is range of motion. Notice without fighting against it, his range of motion. Also notice when he brings his leg back down, it's all smooths out. It doesn't stay bunched, it slides into its normal position.